How many Latinas are in the house? I knew it. I knew when she said Telemundo and you all went, woo! I'm very honored and it's a pleasure to be here with all of you. And I have to say that listening to Dr. Jacoby's speech really brought up a lot of things for me. It brought up how much pain is a factor in empowerment. How much sometimes pain is the answer for all of us. Going to our pain and letting that pain inspire us. And yet it's hard to listen to the pain of women around the world and take that pain in, how difficult it is for them, and to not feel how privileged we all are to live here as an immigrant, to have come here, to have all the opportunities that I've had here. And yet, even in a first world country, we have emerging markets of women, and I'm going to speak about Latinas today, that in spite of that privilege are marginalized and disenfranchised and don't prosper at the level that they should because they're living in a cultural filter and the messaging that they're getting is very negative from that first world mainstream world. So I thought I'd share a story of mine that I think is very similar to the women that I deal with Adelante. So you already heard that I was an immigrant. I came here from communist Cuba when I was 5. And my parents, pobrecitos, they lost everything. And they really didn't have any money, and they were a little bit lost. We had just come from being in Cuba in more of a welfare state. But they wanted the best for me. They thought, you know, Nelly's smart. We want to put her in the best school. And they put me in Catholic school, which is what Latino parents do. And I was in middle school. I was almost 11. And I'm overhearing them. Everybody that's Latino will know this. Like we overhear our parents at night, and we get scared because they're like, my mother would say, "Ay Dios mío, how are we going to pay for this school?" And you know, and I'm freaking out, thinking, "Oh my God, the nuns are going to expel me," because you know the nuns, if you don't pay, you get out of the school. And my dad would say to her, "Don't worry, Jesus will help us." And I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to go have to face the nun tomorrow and be expelled. So this lady down the street from me had said to me, "Honey, I'm selling Avon. Do you want to go sell some Avon in school and you get some free lipstick?" And I thought, forget the free lipstick. I need money. So I go to her and I said, "Look, let's do a deal, 50-50, and I'll sell Avon." And I start selling Avon cosmetics out of my locker. And in the first week, I sold $200. And by the first month, I was able to pay my tuition. And I went to the nuns and I said, "Listen, I cannot go back to my Latino dad and say that I paid for school. He won't allow me to do that." And does that tell you something? Saving men early on, saving their ego. And I go back and the nun says, "Don't worry, I'll write you a letter." So I go home and I give the letter to my mom and she goes, "Arsenio, ¿qué dice la carta? What does this letter say?" And he goes, "Oh my God, your daughter is a genius and Jesus helped us after all." And I think that that's a good story because that's the story of a lot of Latinas. We're parentified. We become the parents at a very early age. We're natural born entrepreneurs. We may not know how to work smart because we don't really know the system, but we work hard. And we get it done because we have to, because we have that pain and we have that necessity. So let me tell you about how Adelante came to be. About 5 years ago, I've had a very successful career, thank God, and I am a bit of an outlier because I've worked for 5 billionaires, and they all mentored me, and I started my own business, and at a very young age, I was able to work because I want to, not because I have to, the American dream. And I decided, again, like Dr. Jacoby said, education is very important, and I had not finished school. So I decided to take a sabbatical, go back to school and get a master's and doctorate in psychology. And in that journey, I wrote a dissertation about Latinas in America. And in writing, which anybody here that's written a dissertation knows how horrible it is and difficult, the research I was finding on Latinas from the US government and from the medical establishment was horrible. It was all very broad-based numbers about, you know, just how bad the Latino community was, all the issues with immigration. I'm thinking, no wonder these women, I mean, how could they feel good? All the information they're getting, all the information the kids are getting in school is very negative. At the same time, coincidentally, I was asked to become a member of a Coca-Cola advisory council. And I go on this board, and all I hear about Latinas is, oh my God, Latinas are the answer to the U.S. economy. Latinas are the emerging market. They're the fastest growing entrepreneurs. They're growing 200% more than all the other, 200%, and the other women are becoming entrepreneurs 50% faster. So it's all positive. And I go, what's wrong with this picture? How come this data is so disparate? How come these Latinas don't know that they're the bomb? You know, that they account for $1.3 trillion of buying power every year. How come they don't know that? I didn't know that. And then because I was on this board, I saw what Coca-Cola was doing with their 5x20 global initiative around the world, empowering 5 million women by the year 2020. And I thought, well, how about the women here? How about in a first world country, this group of women that need help and that don't really get to hear who are the empowered women? They get to see J-Lo and Salma Hayek, but they're not meeting, you know, the ROSIE Rios U.S. treasurer, you know, the women that have become millionaires that are entrepreneurs, you know, the Sonia Sotomayors. They weren't meeting them. They had no role models. When I would ask Latinas for my dissertation, who are your role models? They'd say Kim Kardashian. I was like, oh my God, because she looks like us. Oh my God. And so I guess I thought, I'm gonna try to dream and think if this is possible. It would have to take a woman like me that's already made money, because who can afford to go help, you know, your own community if you haven't even helped yourself? And so I thought to myself, what if we could do this 5x20 thing here in the US? What if we could create a private sector solution to my community? Change the economy of Latinos through the women and empower these women. And so there was born the Adelante Movement. And you may ask, what's Adelante? It's a great word, because in Spanish, Adelante means, kind of literally, if you look it up, it means move forward. But connotatively, this is how we say it. Adelante, move your butt, go. And I realized that that's what my women needed. They needed to hear from other Latinas. They needed a loving, within a cultural framework and a cultural context where it's like, we understand you, but like, okay, I understand your pain, but we gotta move on, and we gotta get it done. So let me tell you what we've done, because it's been the most wonderful, fabulous experience. First of all, I have to thank Coca-Cola, because the minute I said, why are we not doing this here? They said, we're in, and have been my supporter from day one. I thank you. We have partnered with 44 Hispanic NGOs around the country, because our job is not to compete with NGOs, but to help NGOs raise money, bring great content, bring the kind of attention to those NGOs in the local markets, because I also want these women to have a place to go. We're kind of coming in. We're doing a national tour. We come in and bring big speakers, all the women that they've never met, because all the women in our community that they needed to hear from, we're going out and speaking at Coca-Cola, GE, and all these places, but not necessarily at all these NGOs, because they can't afford to pay them. So we brought them. And so we've created these events that are half inspirational, TED, if you will, but more than TED, because we don't let anybody speak who's not going to tell their painful story. Because these women need to know where these women came from, and that they were you, and that if they could be this, you could do it too. And then the other half of the program is meat and potatoes, because I don't want those women to leave without learning. And so we train these women. We tell these women, you are living in a revolutionary age. The digital world has changed everything. You can run a business from your house. You can have your kids help you. You can do this. And we really train them in everything to do with economic empowerment and entrepreneurship, but through a cultural filter. Knowing that Latinos are never going to stop giving money to their family. Knowing that Latinos, you know, that we have issues with not trying to be better than our father or our husband, and we have to work with that and work on that. knowing that we have barriers of empowerment because somehow we were, including me, I was raised, you're going to be a mom with 5 kids, don't worry about, when I started working and I said, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, I'm going to start a business, my mother goes, ay, Dios mío, the years are passing, your beauty's going to go, you can't find a man if you're going to be an empresaria. We have to deal with those cultural issues. And so we have big goals, and I'm just going to show you a tape and speak a little less, but we've trained last year, we have 50,000 Latinas in our Adelante database. We have 12,000 that we trained last year. And our goal is to train 30,000 Latinas in the next 3 years. And I had a boss once, and I worked for him like a dog, ran his business, and then he sold it. And I was like, how could you do this to me? And he goes, young lady, those are my chips. Go get your own chips. And I want every Latina to go get her own chips. That's what I want for Adelante, and that's what I know Coca-Cola shares with me. So let me show you now, without further ado, the Adelante movement. I want to see Latinas be all they can be, and I just have to push them to taking leadership. Baby, you're a firework. Come on, let your colors burst.
In 2012, the Adelante movement was founded by media entrepreneur Nely Galan in partnership with the Coca-Cola Company's 5x20 Global Initiative to unite and empower Latinas economically and entrepreneurially and create a community. 2 years, 34 U.S. cities, partnered with 44 national Hispanic organizations, registering over 12,000 Latina members face to face. Thousands more are joining this empowerment movement.
Welcome to the stage, Nobel Peace Laureate Rigoberta Menchú, U.S. Treasurer ROSIE RIOS, author and MacArthur Genius Awardee Sandra CISNEROS, a Latina icon, Charo, the legendary Rita Moreno, founder and president of Count Me In, Nell Merlino, then the incredible SHERYL Sandberg.
When women get money, they bring it home to their families. And so when we earn money, we need to not be apologetic, but we need to say, you know what, this is going to create a better life for my children, and I deserve that, and they deserve that.
The media and the U.S. government took notice.
The Adelante Movement, que pretende darte las herramientas necesarias para que puedas alcanzar lo que tanto soñaste.
Y quiero decir que la compañía que empezó todo esto conmigo fue Coca-Cola.
Coming up live on The View, Latin TV mega mogul Nely Galan.
You are so positive, and you give people this incredible feeling that they can do and be anything.
Right. But I love your slogan. You know what her slogan is? Don't buy shoes, buy buildings.
Here with us now, Emmy Award-winning producer and owner of her own media company, Nely Galan.
You want to define mainstream? Latinas control $1 trillion in U.S. purchases.
I wanted to put Latinas out there in the mainstream and say to American companies, if you're not partnering with a Latina, if you're not looking for Latinas in your corporation, you're missing the boat. Yeah. We're talking about the empowerment of Latinas financially, entrepreneurially, and I tell the ladies, it's about a long-term play. It's about having a big dream, and it's about making sacrifices for that dream.
We're now going to go to our next panel, which is going to be led by Nely Galan.
So I founded something called the Adelante Movement, and I was blessed to come across Coca-Cola, who helped me seed this through their 5x20 Global Initiative to enable the economic empowerment of 5 million women by the year 2020.
What do you call it?
Adelante.
Yeah, we're adjourned. Thank you.
The Adelante movement this year added trainings at our events and online on starting a business, using digital technology, social media mastery, financial management, working with companies like Google, Vine, Twitter, Facebook, and university partners like Walden and Laureate. Over 10,000 women will be trained this year alone. Next year, the new Adelante Digital Hub will be unveiled, which will include inspirational content, online webinars, on-demand internet streaming media, an e-commerce platform, community circles, resources on entrepreneurship, connection to Latino organizations in their communities. Our goal is to train and change the lives of 30,000 Latinas in the next 3 years.
Hearing advices from this wonderful woman really can change our lives.
You can't give up. You have to keep fighting. Entrepreneurship is all about keep going.
This is it. I can no longer continue to just be a realtor. I need to be a broker and I need to have my own company.
Thank you, Coca-Cola, for doing this. It's so important in our community.
So now, here, go, Adelante. Now meet one of our Adelante entrepreneurs, Candy Ramirez from Tucson, Arizona. Let's watch.
Baking is everything to me. I used to do it with my great-grandmother, and now I do it with my children. My name is Candy Ramirez. I am a baker in Tucson, Arizona. I own Candy's Cakes and More. I got pregnant at a young age. I had 2 jobs, college, helping my parents out. Sometimes it was a struggle trying to get out of bed because you have all these responsibilities on your shoulders being 17, 18 years old. I had to work these 2 jobs to make ends meet. And I pondered and I figured, well, what the heck am I gonna do? And I just turned to baking and started baking cakes full time. When I barely first started doing cakes in my first year, it was for family, friends, my boys' birthday parties. My motivation has always been my children, my boys. I do everything that I do 100% for them. In being in this journey of this cake industry and attending the Adelante luncheon, being a part of the Adelante movement, I believe that something has woken up inside of me. A sense of empowerment, a sense of unity, a sense of no more fear. Since the Adelante movement, I learned about marketing and marketing myself and my business. When I did that, my business has just skyrocketed. Hashtag Queen Bee Baker came about after the Adelante movement, and I wanted to empower other women who were in my shoes when I was in my first year of baking. I started my YouTube channel a couple months ago because I really didn't see a Latina baker take charge and say, hey, I'm gonna show you what I can make. I got a sponsor, a major cake sponsor. Celebrities and companies asked for my cake. Ask for my cake. My prices have doubled. I've been able to charge more for my cakes. I've been asked to teach in New York, in Texas. Hopefully I'll own my own show. I'll probably own my own network one day. I think big.
Thank you so much. I just want to say that in Adelante we say that happiness is to be realizada, which is a great Spanish word, which in English means self-actualized, and that we want to do it so we can pass the torch to our children. And that's the Adelante movement. Thank you so much.